This is the weirdest video I've ever made. So I had this idea. I had thought of it for about a year and I finally did it. And the next change that I made was thanks to a viewer. I want to talk about the three things I actually got rid of. All right, we're getting down to the last three items. Hello and welcome to the video. So this video is about all of the upgrades and changes that I have very recently made in my van. And if you're new here, I'm Brenna and this is a clip of Abby, and we have been living in our van just gone 3 years full time. It's a self-converted Toyota Hiace. I am in Australia. And recently I did a house sit and I had a chance to make some changes. Now I actually started filming this video 4 weeks ago. So I'm going to start with the beginning bit of that video and then I will pick you up today and show you all the changes that I made. I have 17 changes altogether. Things just kept escalating and I just kept making more and more changes, and I have been back in the van now for just over 2 weeks and I'm really happy with all the changes. They've definitely made my life easier and more enjoyable, and giving me more space. So I will share all of those with you. Anyway, here's the first bit of the video and I'll see you when that's finished. Hello and welcome to the video. So this is my van refit. Just making some changes, fixing up a few things, taking advantage of having a bit of a woodworking area and being in a house sitting and being able to strip the van out. All right, so the first thing I've got on my list today is to paint this door panel. So this door panel, I painted the back one last year because that had been getting mold around the outside, and I noticed this year this side one here is getting some mold. It happens when it's raining. If it's just like lightly raining, I'll leave the door open a little bit and then it's getting wet and then it's getting moldy. So we're going to strip it off. I've got some paint left over from last year and I'm going to take the panel off today and we're going to paint it. All right, I have taken the panel off. I have given it a quick sand. I've wiped it down with a damp cloth and now I'm going to paint. And Nikki, I know you're watching this. I stole one of your bamboo skewers to mix my paint. All right, so I'm going to paint all of the outside, but just the edges on the back side where the mold was getting. And welcome back to the present day. This is the weirdest video I've ever made. All right, let's start with some more changes. So I'm going to start I'm trying to do this systematically. So I'm going to start at the back of the van, work down one side, and then work the other side, and then we'll do the outside. So we'll see how this goes. All right, the very first change that I made was that I built a box over the wheel arch. This was something I'd always intended to do when I initially built the van, but I kind of ran out of time. And also it was difficult, and it took me a whole day to do it when I actually did it, but it's made a huge change. Now I did take some clips of how I did it as I did it, so I'll pop those in here and you can see how I've put it together, and I've even given it a coat of paint. As you can see in that clip, I built the wheel arch and then I put the toy cupboard back on, but I'll get back to that in a minute. First of all, let's go to what you would have seen in the first clip, and that is I put in a new food storage cupboard. So I had trouble since I've been on the eastern side of Australia with mice. I think the whole first 2 years in the van I only had 1 or 2 mice. Anyway, I had 5 in the space of about a month, and I didn't have any mice proof food storage. They were getting into the food, which is a waste of food and encourages the mice to come in. So I had this idea. I had thought of it for about a year and I finally did it, where I use shoe cupboards, like shoe storage cupboards for the food, because the way and I want to do them for a couple of reasons. The first is the way they open is they angle forward, and so you don't need that much space, as in pulling out a whole drawer, or I had baskets before, so that makes it really good. And because of the way it's built, it's like self-closing, so I don't need to put bungee cords or straps or anything to stop it opening. Honestly, I think these are the most van-friendly cupboards ever. They are so good, and they're made of plastic, so they're lightweight. So I'll show you here how I screwed them in. They are screwed into the floor and screwed, I think they're screwed into the toy cupboard. And then also I put these baskets, I just got these bamboo baskets for on top to hold my art supplies, because I've gone a bit crazy with art and that was one of the other reasons for doing a refit, was to make more room for my art supplies and more art supply friendly storage. All right, I'm counting that as 2 things. First of all, box over the wheel arch. Second thing is new food cupboard with baskets on top. The third thing that I did was I replaced the material on the toy cupboard. Now I call it a toy cupboard because this cupboard was originally sold as a toy storage cupboard in Kmart, and I just referred to it as a toy cupboard, but it actually now is full of art supplies and a couple of clothes, mostly art supplies. But I did put new covers over it, and also now that I have boxed in the wheel arch, I have some more area to secure the toy cupboard. It was kind of precariously balanced last time on the actual wheel arch, and now I can actually secure it in. And I also got a big piece of wood to put at the back to hold it in, so now that is very secure and it is full of art supplies. All right, I have miscalculated because I forgot that we've already done painting the side door panel. So we are actually up to number 5. Or number 5, which is the paint drawers. So one of the bonuses of boxing out the wheel arch was it actually gave me more usable space. And I ended up with this area that I wanted to use for my paint tube. So I'm doing painting watercolor, acrylic, gouache. I'm not just sticking to one medium, and I had a lot of paint tubes, and I found these amazing drawers in Kmart, and my good friend Michael glued them all together for me and fitted them in the van. They are brilliant. And I also have found this little basket that in Kmart, and I still have to screw it in, but it's great for things I'm holding at the moment: Abby's treats, Abby's fish oil, her toys. It works great for that. And another bonus is I ended up with a shelf, which works really great for things like my water bottle or when I'm taking food out of the fridge. I ended up with a bonus little shelf. So I absolutely love my little paint drawer holder, and Michael again came up with this ingenious idea to hold them in to stop the drawers falling out, and it's just absolutely brilliant. It's so easy once I set my table up. All my paint is there. I really love it. Thank you so much, Michael. It's just the best. It's really good. And even if you're in a house, these little drawers are just perfect size for paint tubes. They're the perfect size. And I only got them at Kmart like probably 4 weeks ago, not that long ago. So they might still be there, Kmart Australia. The 6th change I made, if you're familiar with my van at all, or if you've watched my original van tour, is I moved the book bag to the other side. So it used to be over the toy cupboard, but when I framed out the wheel arch and put it on top, it made the toy cupboard a bit higher and the book bag didn't fit. Anyway, I just switched it to this side. I thought it would be annoying and get in my way, but it's absolutely fine. I actually really like it. It's actually easier to reach when I'm in bed now. I want to do my writing journals. How loud was that bird? So yeah, I did switch the book bag to the other side. All right, time to switch to the other side of the van for what I think is number 7. Let me just check. Number 7. So I painted the bottom of the bed frame. Now I also took this opportunity while I had stripped the van out and had everything, the bed frame flipped over, to do a few clips here to show people how I built the bed frame. So this is how I built it, and the back end does actually rest on the wheel arch, but I just painted the bottom of it because I spill water, and now lately coffee, but I do spill water quite a bit. I live in a van. It's very easy to knock water over, and I had noticed that the very bottom of the the bed frame was getting a little bit of mold again. So I thought, while I had the paint, and I had the van stripped out, I just painted the bottom of the bed frame. Yeah, and that was the 7th thing that I did. All right, the 8th thing that I did was just add in another small basket to utilize space. So this space between my kitchen cupboard and the screen for the, I don't know what you call it, the security screen for the cab. I always had a space there. In the back, I always keep my toilet paper and my paper towels, and the space at the front wasn't really getting utilized, so I found this little basket that fits perfect, and it holds fly spray, shampoo, and conditioner, and it fits in there just perfect. So just utilizing the space as much as I can. All right, taking a break from the inside of the van and moving to the outside so I can stand up and have a stretch. One of the next thing I did was I added this piece of material to the back of my clothes drawer. This was for two reasons. First of all, to make it look nicer, give me some privacy, and secondly, to keep the sun off, because it was fading some of my clothes. They were getting fade lines. So all I did was glue the edges with fabric glue, and then I just used some little screws to screw it straight into the plastic. Now, as you saw in the last clip, I have a new addition, and that is I now have an ensuite awning. So this is a very last minute addition. This actually went on the morning that I left my friend's house for the house sit. I used it today for the first time, and I really love it. So what I did was I have got rid of my collapsible shower tent, my pop-up one, and my main reason for doing this was to free up room inside the van for storage. That was all. They had a $60 off daily deal, and I couldn't go past it. I went and bought it. I asked Michael if he'd help me install it. He basically did the whole installation. But yeah, I now have an ensuite awning on the outside. All right, we're back inside the van. And the next change that I made was thanks to a viewer. So when I posted my last video saying I was doing a mini refit and I was putting in some mouse-proof food cupboards, and I said I couldn't do anything about the dog food, somebody left a comment saying that they're coming for the dog food. And so it got me thinking, and I did some research, and I managed to find these under bed storage containers which fits a full-size bag of dog food perfectly. So thank you very much to whoever left that comment. I now have the dog food stored in a container, in a sealed container, and the mice can't get in. So I feel much better about that, and I really appreciate your comment. Thank you. All right, the next change I made was really just a revamp. So I used to have the blue like baskets under the bed, which I used to keep food in, which I don't anymore, and those basically had just worn out. They're only made of cardboard, and it had just disintegrated, so I just replaced them. So I got the baskets at only $4 for two at Kmart Australia, and I just had to cut them down to fit under the bed, and I glue the sides over, and so I fit 3 under the bed, and yeah, they're perfect. So I basically just revamped them with a very inexpensive like update. Now, those baskets did come in sets of 2, and I didn't waste the last one. I could only fit 3 under the bed, but I used the other one, the 4th one, in the front seat. That was one thing I always had an issue with this van, is that it doesn't really have a good console or any place to hold drinks. So I used that basket. I have seat belted it in, and I had an old plastic container which I don't use anymore for my cleaning supplies because they now go other places, and I just use that now for my drink bottles. It stores my maps, Abby's like poo bags, and a lead and things stored in there. So I utilized all 4 of my baskets. All right, before I get on to the last 3 new purchases that I made, and by the way, there are 18 things, not 17, because I had forgotten about the basket in the front seat, so I'm counting that as an extra one. Before I get into the last 3 new purchases I made, I want to talk about the 3 things I actually got rid of, which are counting as 2 things. So the first thing I did was I have gotten rid of my folding table and my folding chair, because I hardly ever use them. They take up a lot of space, and I very rarely use them. I decided it wasn't worth it to carry them. I do have a fold-out stool that I can use, and ironically, within the first week of being back in the van, I was at a caravan park, and a couple invited me over for drinks, and I just bring my stool, which works out really good because I would have to take Abby, and Abby likes to sit on the ground, and I'm closer to Abby, so I don't need my folding chair anymore. I'm happy to sit on the ground, or I can sit on my stool. And look, I can count on one hand how many times I used that folding table in 3 years. So it's not worth it. I have the table in the van, which I use for all my art and everything, and I just wasn't using it, and it just didn't make sense for me to carry it. It was using up space, which I'd rather have for art supplies. All right, there is one other thing I have decided to get rid of, and that was my extra 20-liter water jug. So for the last 3 years, I've been carrying 50 liters of water, and I've never used more than 30. So I decided to, again, it's taking up space. I decided to get rid of my 20-liter jug. All these things I left at my friend's house. And I haven't decided. I have bought a new water jug coming up very soon. And I haven't decided. I'm going to decide when I get back to WA if I'm going to keep at the 10-liter or not. So if I'm going to downsize to 40 liters or just go with 30. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to hold on to the last 10 liters until I cross the Nullarbor, but then I will decide. But I was carrying way too much water, and I was carrying it. I used to think, just in case, what happens when I cross the Nullarbor, things like that. But you know what? You can buy like casks of water, like 5-10 liters of water. I can buy that in the supermarket. So for those times when I need it, I can just buy it. I don't need to carry an extra 20 kilos of weight in the van for those very rare occasions, like when I cross the Nullarbor, which is going to be the 4th time in 3 years. So yeah, I've downgraded my water supply. All right, we're getting down to the last 3 items. So another thing I did was I've changed over my portable potty. So I was using the bucket style before, and that took up a lot of room. And when I went to visit a viewer in Queensland, Sue, hello Sue, and Sue is actually currently on a 12-month trip around Australia in her high ace. She had bought this collapsible toilet from Amazon, and she mentioned it to me. She didn't have it yet, but once she got it, she said it was really good, and I love how simple it is. It stores just between my seats in the front, and it's so easy to set up, and it takes up no room. So again, I left my big toilet bucket at my friend's house, and I now have a new folding toilet, which I cannot recommend enough. So easy to use, takes up no space. All right, my second last item, and I have saved the best for last, but the second last thing is I upgraded my water jug. So I caught up with Coralie, who is a viewer here and also has her own YouTube channel, Jump With No Fear. She had the Dometic water jug and the automatic tap, and I was really impressed. It was an investment. They're about $100 each, but I've had them both now for about a week, and I'm really happy with them. The water tap is so quiet. You can recharge it with USB. It has a light on it, so at night it's so good for filling up water bottles or cups or things like that. Abby's water bowl, it's really good. And I like with the water jug that I can get in my hand in and clean it. It's a nice size, it fits there perfectly. So yeah, I did upgrade my water jug and my tap. Thanks Coralie for showing me yours, and I'm really happy with it and expect for it to last me for years and years and years. All right, the final upgrade that I made, which is the best upgrade I've ever had, and that is my new EcoFlow DELTA 2. So if you watched my last video, you saw me unboxing it. I've been back in the van for about 2.5 weeks and using it, and it's fantastic. I feel it's a perfect size for my van life. It's 4 times bigger than a river, like the power that it stores, and twice as big as my original one. But the key for this is how fast it charges. So even though it's 4 times bigger, it still fully charges when you plug it in to 240 volt in 90 minutes. It's just brilliant. I love it, and it's a really good size. I don't stress anymore about having to put the solar panels out all the time. It's just really good. I really love it. Now the next video after this, which is in a day or two, will be a full review on my experience with the Delta 2. But if you're interested, it has just come out in Australia on Tuesday, and they have given me another discount code. There's a 5% discount code. I will be a link in the description below, or you can wait for the full review in a day or two. And I do believe the first 20 people to buy one get a free water bag. But look, it's absolutely brilliant. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, it's just, I find it's a perfect size. And I love how slimline it is. It fits in perfectly. Yeah, I love my new Delta 2. Thank you, EcoFlow.